And welcome back. Another Financial Edge episode here. We've got former Pierre Governor, current left tackle, number 74 in the program, number 1 in your heart. Grey Zabel is going to be joining us today from Fargo, North Dakota State Bison, coming back from quite a run yesterday out in Colorado and walking into his senior season. So glad to have him, excited to have the conversation, and here we go. All right, we are back. Episode number 3. We got Grey Zabel dropping in on a Friday, which is great. Grey, thank you for popping in. Really appreciate it. Getting back early last night, or I should say this morning, makes it tough for traveling type of things, but that's one of the things that I wanted to kind of start with, right? Football, travel, school, farm, life, all things that encompass time. What's your thoughts and what's your value of that time that we've got in a 24-hour period? Tell me, speak to those thoughts there with what you've got going on with your schedule.
Yeah. As you know, only 24 hours in the day, so you got to manage that the best that you can. And kind of with my life right now, you got to set aside about 6 or so hours just strictly for football.
Yeah.
And then you got to fill in the rest of the time with trying to get some schoolwork done. And then at the same time, trying to have a social life and kind of stay balanced a little bit there too. So this semester probably won't be as taxing on the mental part for my school as I already graduated and stuff, and I have some fun classes there. But anytime you can be productive during the day, it's a win for you and a win for your future.
Right. No, absolutely. And let's speak to the other side of that. Graduated already. I mean, we're on the last, call it, semester of what we've got. How's time been in that fashion? And I'll speak to myself here. I got 3 kids, got a second grader, a kindergartner, and one going into preschool. Time slips by like that. Not the last time that we chatted, but last time we were holding up a championship. I mean, that's years ago at this point. How fast have things gone?
It's kind of crazy fast, and just to even kind of flash back to those years ago, it was probably going to be 5 years ago, 4 years ago, the last time I played high school football.
Yeah.
And it's been like a blink of an eye, like snap your finger and there goes 4 or 5 years gone. So here in this probably past 6 months, I've tried to do as much as I can to kind of be present, be in the moment, and appreciate the time that you do got. Because here in 4 months, I'll be done with college, and thinking about that is just crazy. And 4 months seem so far away, but the old saying, the days are long and the years are short.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that speaks volumes to what I see often in the office, right? On the side of mine with time is people coming in towards the end of their career going, "Hey, Scott, do I have enough time now to make a difference with what I've saved? Or have what I saved over the years that I've been working enough to get me to what I want to do in retirement?" Right. And, speaking, we got a young guy in the mix right here, and I chat with a lot of up and comers and new workers and new business people that are just getting into the game. A 40-year career seems like forever away. But like you just mentioned, time can slip by. And in our world, it's the one thing that people can't ever buy more of, right? And as you get older and, shoot, your parents are out at the game, I'm sure they would wish they could buy back more time with all the boys type of a thing. And it's fleeting, but at the same time, in our industry, it's about just starting something, right? And I'm going to lean on you as far as just being a guy that farms a little bit. I ask this question all the time. If you're going to plant a tree, when would have been the best time to plant a tree?
20 years ago.
20 years ago, right?
Yep.
And if you didn't plant it 20 years ago, Grey, when's the next best time?
Right now, today.
Right now, right? It's taking advantage of the opportunity right in the moment that we have. Because there's one guarantee there, right? If you end up never planting a tree, you're not going to have one. And if
Mhm.
we end up planting something, something's going to grow. It's just a matter of then how can we add to it, contribute to it, get the right types of water, get the right types of sunshine, and go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, no. It's incredible to see how fast things go. It's one of those where obviously we walk together in huddles and in games together as well, and to seeing where you're at right now, tipping my hat to you, my friend. It's been fun seeing that as well. But we'll jump into the next side here. Cool little honor that you got. Chief Ram gets nodded out. Just tell me where and how does that even come about, right? I did a little bit of reading on it, but give me the backstory of what that is.
So Chief Ram back in the, I want to say 80s, they started up to where that's like your leader of the Ram room. It started with the coach calling the offensive line the Rams. And then Chief Ram started to where kind of the leader of the room that kind of gets taxed with being the guy, being the leader, and when it's go time, you got to go, you got to rally the troops and all that. So over the years, the previous Chief Ram always elects or nominates the next Chief Ram. And then this past year, it was Jake Kubis, the right guard, who I played next to in 2023. Back in January, he basically nominated me or called me Chief Ram and stuff. And so it kind of goes from there. And then the biggest thing moving forward is trying to find the next kind of Chief Ram, the
Right,
guy that's going to continue to carry the torch, because it is truly an honor to be named that or be thought of as a Chief Ram in the O-line room. So um, kind of moving forward, trying to find out who's the next guy to carry that torch that
right.
is going to be the guy that's going to go to the edge and do whatever it has to take for the O-line.
Yeah. No, I read it in your message. They had asked you a question about the pressure of being Chief Ram, and your response, I loved it. It's more not added pressure because you know the standard in which you've already had for yourself. It's more of an honor that I've got this close group of people that are looking up to me to have this conversation and to be this leader in the mix, right? I know it's hard for you to see. I've got this little picture right over my shoulder right here. It's a wolf standing at the top of the mountain. An image my dad gave me, and in it says leaders, and it says winners get to the top to look back to see who they've beaten. Leaders get to the top to turn around to see who they can help get to the same level.
Mhm.
And I think of like that Chief Ram being that one piece of, hey, we've got this next guy that's climbing the ladder that has this high standard for himself, for what we're trying to accomplish at NDSU, to keep up and then bring up that next group of guys. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly how it is. And kind of how I see it as well too. Like you're only as good as your weakest link. And so if you can just bring along everyone with you, and push everyone to have the same goals that you have, you're going to tend to be pretty successful. And as you probably see it in your work environment as well, if everybody does well, everybody tends to come out on top or do a great job and all that stuff. So just kind of trying to find that motivation to keep pushing everyone forward is
Yeah.
sometimes challenging, but at the same time, in the end, it turns out to be very rewarding.
No, for sure. And what I say a lot in our world is our success is driven through your success. That's where we become successful, is doing the right things by you, that then you buy in more to the concepts and the stewardship of what we're trying to do with your financial world, right? And then that just self propagates what's next, right? Success brings more success, and then from there adds more trust, right? And I'm going to lean into that word for you right now. And this Chief Ram, the Rams, 5-0 lineman, I was an offensive lineman, and I mentioned to this yesterday. I mean, we got five guys. We take those five guys and we bring them all together. That's a pretty powerful tool that we add. What's trust like, not only in that offensive line room, but on the offensive side?
Um, Great question. I think seeing trust is just doing your job, doing your 111th. We always talk about in the O-line room, like playing is one and seeing the picture is one. As you could see from last night, loud environment, we started having to go to hand signals, trying to telling our center that, hey, we got to overload to this side. I'm trying to bring him with two, so he knows it's three defensive linemen on the left side of the center, to calling out linebackers that are starting to creep up and stuff, helping out the right tackle on a backside of something, being on the complete opposite side of the line of scrimmage. So just having the ability to know that we're all trying to be our best for every single guy out there. Um, and the thing I kind of challenged the offensive line with last night was the moment somebody goes down, he shouldn't get touched again by anybody from the opposing team. You should be the first one there at the pile or first one there helping him up to get him up off the ground, knowing that, hey, we got your back. Just keep running hard. Just keep doing your thing. And I would say that's a big part of trust, knowing that
Yeah.
no matter what happens out on that field, they'll always have another guy right there with them, kind of helping them along or helping them up and doing that thing.
Right. No, another point that you brought in there was it was loud communication. Sometimes it's done verbally, sometimes it's done through hand signals. Um, how does that, is it every snap in some fashion? Are you leaning on the center, or is it collectively as a group that you're having that line of communication?
Collectively as a group, the center kind of sends the mic ID or the point.
Yep.
Then it kind of goes through the QB. If the QB wants to change it, he comes up and changes it. Or if we see something as tackles, we can change it as well or get eyes going to a different direction and stuff. So that's a big thing that we talk about, is just seeing the picture through one set of eyes, getting everyone on the same page. So like last night, there was multiple times where we wanted to go one direction, but we ended up getting changed by the QB just from safety rotation or a pressure look and stuff. So just like you said, the communication that goes along in the football game is pretty crazy.
No, for sure. And to tie it in with where we're at, communication is a two-way street, right? I can communicate with you with my thoughts and my plans of what I think makes sense. But if I only know the picture that it is that I'm trying to paint, and I haven't heard your voice on what it looks like, I might be painting something completely different of what you're trying to accomplish. So it's that give and take of having that communication. And that, in our world, I tell people, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of them have my contact information, because it's just a phone call away to have that, well, hey, Scott, I'm changing occupation, or guess looks like we're moving away, or had a passing in my family, and I'm wondering what's next in that step. It's if I don't know that it's coming, it's hard for me to have that answer for you. But at the same time, if I'm not asking those types of questions, you might think that I'm not thinking about you in the first place, right? And that's one side that I thoroughly enjoy. I know in our time we've had long talks and have conversations. Having the talk is the fun part, right? It's then taking what we're talking about, bring it into the mix, and then finding out what's the best output from the input that we've got here. And that's no different than on the football field. And it's, as a coach, I see it myself. I tell our guys all the time, feel the first level, see the second and the third, because if you can find what those safeties are doing, you're going to see where everyone else on the field is going. And then it's just a matter of fundamentally getting to the right spot, and then taking the workouts that you've done and anchoring down and locking in.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun. Well, hey, the other cool part about being at NDSU is you got a brother that come along with you, right? So young brothers in the mix, got a family of athletics, parents played athletics. What was it like growing up in a world where sports were a topic of conversation probably all the time?
Yeah. Super competitive in our household. That was the
Yeah.
one thing that kind of just right as we grew up, it was just a competition in everything we did. And I'm super thankful it was like that, because you kind of see out in the real world that not a lot of people anymore are competitive. They're just okay with, oh, that guy's doing well, good for him.
Right.
Um, but growing up, it was we're always trying to be who could be the best out of the three brothers, or who
Yeah.
could do this the best, or who could win that. So um, having sports in our life was a huge thing, because it challenged us at a different level and different ways to go try and be better than um, the other brothers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. I had three brothers myself, Gray. One older, two younger, and I say it to people all the time. There wasn't a time that I didn't want to beat them in everything. Um,
Yeah.
if we're playing rock, paper, scissors, I want that win, right? I want
Yep.
that one. And I've said it before. I've got grandma, God rest her soul, was a really good card player. When I went up there and I talked to this with my athletes, and if you've heard the story too, great. But I wanted to beat her because Grandma Virginia wanted to beat Scott. And
Yep.
that was the end of the game, right? She wanted to call my bluff on whether or not I could take enough tricks in the game of rattle. And I wanted to call hers. And she was going to be happier that I beat her at her best than if she gave me the win to make me feel better.
Mhm.
And you hit it on the head. We're in a different world of that now. How are you seeing that as a Chief Ram, as a senior in the NDSU room, bringing all these people from all these different areas? Is that a collective thing that you see where everyone's competitive like you, or you kind of got to pull that out of some people?
Um, Really good question. I would say a little bit of both. And I don't know if this is right to admit, but there's kind of a change of generations, change of kind of the cultural belief of winning and losing.
Yeah,
Uh, as you can see, kind of in this younger generation, they're okay with losing if that means they played well or they don't like to be uncomfortable and stuff. And my two biggest things that I try preaching up here is get comfortable being uncomfortable because that's where your biggest growth is going to come, is when you're uncomfortable and when you're stressed and when you're going through hard times and stuff. That's where you're going to find out kind of more about yourself. And then my kind of personal philosophy is um, I don't like winning as much as I hate losing.
yeah,
Um, Winning is fun and stuff and all that, but like I hate losing so much that I just refuse to let it happen or try to do whatever I can to make sure I don't lose. Um,
yeah,
and that's like last night, it sucks. Like it's a burning feeling in your soul after you take a loss when you know it was such a winnable ball game.
yep,
But at the end of the day, it's just moving forward. How can you eliminate that to get back on track of winning and not having to feel that feeling ever again?
yeah. No, that's I love your mentality with that, because that's gotten to where you're at now. It's going to take you to higher and higher cliffs and mountains and tops. Um, eh, Take that with wherever you're going to go. You're going to find yourself in a really good spot, right? I mean, um, that tickles my soul hearing that from a young man that's in the mix right now, because that's something I've said and I've tell myself is, man, I do love winning, but I really, really just hate losing.
Yeah.
What do I got to do to not have that feeling? And it's in every aspect, right? And I love how you said be uncomfortable in those ugly times, because that's, whether it's an election year like we've got right now, people are wondering about what's going to happen. And there's a lot of question marks of what's today going to bring to what's tomorrow to even what it was yesterday. And my big thing with a lot of those is we've got a plan that's in place. We've got a great plan that's set up for you. You're confident in it. And even when we're uncomfortable, doesn't mean that we should change that plan. It means we should dig in deeper as to why we're doing what we're doing. And we see that all the time with the market, because I don't know if you saw this, but a couple of weeks ago we had one of the worst Mondays or whatever it was that we've had in a long time, right?
Yeah.
Terrible,
Yeah.
terrible time. I want to say we even chatted on those days on a few topics type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's in those moments that if you turn on the news, you turn on X or Twitter, whatever it is that you're looking at, you find a lot of news about the negativity of what's going on. It's easy to find a reason to quit. It's
Mhm.
terribly hard to stick into what you're doing when nobody else is doing those things, right? I love
Yeah.
you, like you said, your mantra. you love winning, but you hate losing even more. One that I've really fallen in love with is there's two pains in life: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. One weighs in ounces and the other weighs in tons. And if you can stick with doing with discipline, you'll have way less regret.
Mhm.
But it's hard to do those things because it's like you said, life's not easy. Winning's even harder. And then staying away from losing is darn near impossible
Yeah.
because, in some cases it's through failure is where we get some of our growth. But shoot, man, you got to buy into those things all the time. And am I wrong in saying that? I mean, you probably shoot, there's probably some message board out there right now that's calling for somebody's head at NDSU for losing game one. And part of you is probably going, you know what, we shouldn't have lost it. But at the same point, you're going, we got to buy into the little things right now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a big thing that I try to preach to our younger guys that are starting to kind of get more playing time or starting to take a bigger role is why would you ever take advice from somebody, or why would you ever listen to somebody that you'd never take advice from?
Yeah.
Like those guys, the Twitter warriors, the like the keyboard warriors, like why are you listening to them when it's just like what you're doing is right? Just stick to the game plan. And that's probably the same way with saving and stuff. You see
Yeah.
everybody out there saying sell, 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 the market's going to crash, all this. Well, if you just keep saving, the average for the stock market continues to rise a little bit every single year. So it's like just stick to the game plan, put your head down and go to work. Like
Yeah.
why take take criticism and advice from people you don't respect, you know?
Right. No, absolutely. And there's every couple of decades, everything kind of doubles in price, right? And I had a conversation with somebody like, shoot, if we were to ask our parents, hey, what was a gallon of milk when you were younger? What was a Coca-Cola when you were younger? Well, we also got to think, what's 2065 look like for us when we are 40 years older and having that conversation? Things undoubtedly are going to be more expensive in some fashion, right? So we've got to stick to a plan that's going to outpace those things over the long time. And that's what, that is the cusp. That's the foundation of what we do, is setting up a consistent, disciplined plan that you get to rock and roll with. That's going to make a game changer for you 20, 30, 40 years down the road. But it takes time, right? And we talked about that earlier in this conversation. It happens a lot faster than a guy thinks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, let's get back into that. So family, five in the mix, big influences on you. Is there anyone else in the time that you've left the Pierre area that came into your world that you're going, man, I'm lucky I had these type of people around you to carry you to your next level?
Yeah. I would have to say there's four guys up from NDSU here that we have a group text. We text every single day. It's Cordell Volson, Cody Mauk, Jake Kubis, and Mason Miller. Mason's our right tackle now, and then the other
Yep.
three are in the NFL. Um, we were probably best friends from the moment I kind of showed up, and it was kind of a melting pot of personalities and people. But I would say those four guys have had the biggest influence on my life. Um, since kind of leaving high school. They're brothers. They're going to be the best friends for the rest of my life. But those four guys have truly shown me what discipline, courage, leadership, hard work, all those things kind of in one, what it's like and what you have to do to achieve those. So I would say those four guys easily are the most influential people that I've met.
Right. There's the Mount Rushmore for you right now, right? No, I love it. That's relationships, right? I mean, it's wild to think how impactful they can be, even when they're gone, right? Three of them are out in the NFL, but that conversation can continue on. Is fun to see, and wow, to have that group of guys around you is pretty dang cool. Let me ask you this. So, a guy that had a lot of offers, and in a world where money's a lot of the first conversation that we see when it comes to college football. What advice do you give to that next generation, your brother that's in the mix right now, about that in the financial world, but at the same time, I would say finding your right place, right? Because there's money everywhere. What's your advice in that regard?
My advice for that and kind of the situation that I was in, was a big thing I kind of told myself was, um, you can't really buy the relationships that you make at certain places with certain people. Sometimes those are just priceless. Everything in this world now is starting to become a transaction.
Yeah.
Um, just kind of, if you want something, you can go out and buy it. True friendship and loyalty is really hard to come by. Um, and once you have it, it's super hard to give up.
Yep.
Once you got that buddy that you can always call no matter the situation, you start appreciating them a lot more. So I would say, um, just stay true to yourself.
Yep.
If you have something that you love and you have people that you love, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It may seem like it, but in the long run, if you have something that you truly love, like this program at NDSU, there's no other place I'd rather call home. And I mean, like I said, it's some things are just priceless in life, and the older you get, the more you start to understand that.
Yep.
Um, Kind of like time, how many people could you ask if they're 65, 70 years old, how much money would you pay to go back to 40 years, or go back 20 years of your life? I'm pretty sure every single one of them is writing a blank check and say, put whatever number you want.
Yeah.
So just understanding that, and that came with a lot of long phone calls and conversations with people,
Yep.
and to kind of really understand that, because I'm not that wise, I'm not that smart, but if you surround yourself with smarter people and a lot of good wisdom, you tend to do a little bit better. So
No, without a doubt. And the part that I'll just lay in with you is authenticity, right? Being who you are all the time, right? This is Grey Zabel. This is Scott and I. This is what you're going to get. This is who they are. They're not different somewhere else. Um, this is what they are, and some people are going to like it, some people aren't, and those things happen. And as far as your comment on the grass isn't always greener on the other side, I'd say, hey, if you're paying attention to the other grass, how about you focus on the work that you can do on your own to make yours better, and
mhm.
that will get yours greener. And if you put your nose down into the work that you're doing, you'll forget about the noise of what everybody else is doing, right? And I've heard this before: comparison is the thief of joy, right? If everything that you're doing is going, well, this person's doing that, so I should do this and this, that, and the other, or they bought this vehicle, so I should probably have that. Sometimes it's sacrifice. Sometimes it's being okay with having the ramen noodles. And you know what? Sometimes they taste pretty good. Um, it's just
Yeah,
one of those things, right? But that statement, comparison is the thief of joy. Shoot, everyone wants more joy in their lives. So buy into the things that you've got, be thankful for the things that you got, and move from there, right? Let me ask
true.
you this, right? Last season, walking into this, I know what it was like for me. What about the travel days? Getting on the plane, flying to a location, getting on a bus, whatever it might be. What do you love? What do you hate about those times?
What do I love and what do I hate? I love the joy of being around your teammates for 2 whole days. Um, being to be around those guys and develop those relationships, because the plane rides are something you'll remember for the rest of your life.
Yep.
All the funny jokes or stories told on those, that's awesome. Um, the thing that I hate about it is, I would probably say, the the time spent knowing that, like, these are all coming to an end.
Yeah.
Um, just the thoughts of, like, you're getting off the plane, like last night, I'm like, man, that's my last first college game.
Yep.
That's my first season opener. Um, just those thoughts that kind of creep in your mind, you do hate those because all great things do come to an end at some point. And just having that in the back of your mind is what I kind of hate, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Just because it's inevitable. Like you can't play college football forever, which is
Yeah.
a really hard kind of pill to swallow.
Yeah, right. I've only got so much eligibility, and then they shut me down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, man. It's one of those things. I had a buddy of mine, and we sat as two offensive linemen on the bus, and we did more bus travel than we did plane travel. We did have a few of those in the mix too. Two big guys, and you know those Greyhound buses, they're not fit for the hugest of people. But the best part of it, Gray, was we had two big solid dudes, and we were so compact in there that we could just fall asleep, and it was the most comfortable thing ever.
Yeah.
Two 98.6s right next to each other on a nice hot bus as you're driving 2.5 hours. If you can get a few Z's tucked in the mix, that was some of the best times for me. And I never, you just like, you're right, you never forget those things, and those moments. And I'm going to jump on this because we kind of talked about it, in the last moment here. There is an end to this, and I know in your case, you've already had a farm in place. How how and how does that translate for you? What's the dream in that regard there, and how does it look and play into your future?
Yeah. So this is my first year farming. A lot of ups and downs along the way, a lot of things to learn. Um, good
Too
thing
much
that
rain or not enough rain? Let me
yeah.
ask.
Yeah. A little bit of both. There was times where it's like, okay, it can shut off.
Right.
And
What are we doing here?
yeah, then my dad's like, hey, I would take every inch of rain you can possibly get. Like, do not be mad about all this rain and stuff. So um no, it's been unbelievable, and it's so cool to see kind of the correlations that football, farming, finances, all that stuff has in common because it truly is kind of a parallel street with each other. If you're out there working every single day on the farm, you tend to know your crops a little bit better or know if they're good or not and all that stuff. Same thing with football. Like if you're putting in the film and the work to be a good football player, you tend to do a little bit better out on that field. So, um, kind of the future of that, I would love to um, expand farming and start farming a little bit more, diversifying the crops that I do farm, figuring out kind of the edge there. But at the same time, I know it's such a volatile profession that it's hard to just be a farmer.
Right.
Um, that's just your main job is being a farmer. That's hard to do. So I know that if you can have a real job while farming on the side, it's going to be a little longer work days, harder days, a little more stress. But at the same time, I mean, if you can get comfortable working 10 to 13-hour days, you're going to do pretty well in life. And so just kind of having that understanding, is a big driver in what I want to do kind of the next stages of my life.
Yeah. No, you hit some big words, right? Diversify. We're talking crops, but big word in our industry as well, right? We don't want all of our eggs in one basket, just in case
Exactly.
that one, goes away, right? And that the other part was volatility, right? There's years in which there's droughts, there's years where it's really wet, there's years where you're yielding great, and there's years where you're yielding nothing, right? And that's and it is what it is, which makes
Mhm.
it tough. But it's buying into what you love to do, sticking to the right types of things, finding those moments, and buying into it. Because when the good times are great, man, it's fun, right? And even when it's bad, you still know that there's something else on the other side of this terrible that we're working to that's going to get better. But yeah, you're right. It's great that he acknowledged already. If we can get rain, we'll take rain. But that's something else. It's cool. It's cool to have somebody that's so bought in, like you said. You're hours into football. You're hours into being a student. You're hours with the relationships that you have, and it's not like the farm is just 10 minutes away.
Mhm.
It's a little bit of a drive. right? But it's a sacrifice that you're willing to make to get what it is you're trying to get accomplished. And I tip my hat to you in those regards, because there's just like I said, there's not a lot of people that are willing to do that type of work, right? To clock in, to be in the salt mines. I was thinking, as you and I that were talking about this, right? Let's put the hard hat on and let's get to work.
Mhm.
And if we can outwork the guy that's across from us, we're going to find ourselves being really successful. And I know that's one thing that I lean into as much as I can with this. Had a person go, "Hey, well, what hours are you if I give you a call?" You can call me anytime, because if this is something that we need to get done and it's 7 o'clock on a Saturday, well, let's get it done, because that's important. If it's important to you, it's more than enough important for me, because I want to make sure we're getting to the next level for you. Right.
Mhm.
And then it's finding those type of people that want to work with you, that you can trust in, and that RAM group that you can believe in, to go, I know they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So now I get to do what I'm doing to the highest of levels.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, just the mindset that you have can completely change how you look at things.
Yeah.
Uh, and just like to go into farming, or I'll hit on farming, then I'll hit on finances. Like farming, you can think of, oh, we're just another day in a drought, or you can kind of flip the script and do the glass half full and say we're one day closer to a good rain.
Yeah.
Uh, However you want to look at it is however you're going to kind of think about it in life. You can always be a positive guy, or you can be a negative guy. Same way with finances. Um, Dang, my stock crashed $10 today. Well, on the other side of things, nice, I can buy this stock $10 cheaper.
Right.
Uh, However you want to look at it is how you're gonna kind of view things in life. And if you can view things in the glass half full way, you tend to have a little better life and a lot, I should say, a lot more positivity in your life than just being in the negative world all the time. And I think a lot of people fall into that glass half empty
Yep.
in certain stages of their life where they struggle with it.
Yeah. No, I am an optimist at heart. I mean, it just is what it is. One, I'm a Vikings fan, so you kind of have to be. Um, but the other side of it is it honestly comes from my family, right? I mean, it's one of those things where it was born in, where, let's say you lost the game of sorry. I don't know if you ever played the board game, but it comes into my head.
Mhm.
The next best thing is, let's play another one and let's learn the crafts that the guy that beat me, what were they doing that I wasn't doing, that I can fold into the mix and go from there. And something that I use all the time, Gray, in my world, as far as being a positive optimist person, is taking that burden off of my client. Let's call it Gray in this regard, where let me be the professional worrier, so you get to go and live your life,
Mhm.
right? You get one of these to get done with. Let me take some of that burden off to get the plan together, to where we should put those next dollars, to how we should relieve some of this debt burden that we've got, or whatever it might be in credit card, or whatever the conversation is that we have. Those are the things that we can work on to help accomplish those goals. Let us take some of that weight from you. So now it's two of us working together rather than just one carrying that burden, right? Um,
Exactly.
and that's the fun part about my my industry, and I would say it's the fun part about what you're doing, not only at NDSU, but I would say as a farmer. It's not just you, right? It's your equipment, it's the people around you, it's Mother Nature, and there's a lot of question marks in it all. But that's the most rewarding types of lives are when you've got good people around you, right? Where when it's even when you're in the dumps, or you're in the foxhole, or you're down seven, or whatever it might be, you've got the right type of people around you that you want to fight with. And you got to take that any day you can.
Yep. There's still time on the clock. You're never out of the fight.
I love it. I love it, man. No. So hey, obviously we're one game in, right?
Mhm.
Didn't go the way that we wanted. Lots of story left to be written on this. Um, what's the mindset as we move forward? Is it's just Friday of a long schedule for us, and let's win today? Or what's it look like for you going forward?
Yeah. One chapter isn't going to define if a book's good or bad.
Yes.
Um, we can keep writing a book and it's going to be a great book and it's going to be, I think, an unbelievable ending. But we do have to win today. We have to find a way to get better today because we lost yesterday.
Yep.
Um, we went 0-1 yesterday, and now we got to find a way to go 1-0 today. If that's
Right.
getting your body right, getting your body healthy, if that's watching some film, getting after these Tennessee State cats, um, we just got to find a way, no matter what, to go 1-0.
Yep.
And if you can just keep going 1-0 every day, you're gonna end up stacking some dubs, as we like to say.
Yes. No, I love it. I love it. So and I don't know if you remember the quote or the kind of mantra that we had for your senior year, but right now it's hold the pen for us right now, right? So hold the pen in the way that I've taken it, and in the sense of is we're writing our story, right? We've had a great past, prolific, right? 7 straight state championships is a wild thing to have a conversation about. But those are yesterday's news. I'm writing today's story with the work I'm putting in right now. And we walk into a game tomorrow type of a thing. There's our first story that we get to write and
Mhm.
hold that pen, because every one of us got our own, whether it's for our life, whether it's in the football side, whether it's at work, whether it's with our family, whether it's at the church or whatever it might be. We're writing these stories. Let's hold the pen. Let's take ownership. Let's take accountability, and let's run with this thing as best we can.
Absolutely.
No, hey, I love it, man. I can't thank you enough, Gray, for popping on a day like today and just giving me a little bit of time to have the conversation. Appreciate it to the fullest extent. I know we've had great relationship in the past. I can't wait to see where we go in the future. It's been spectacular watching not only you, your two brothers, and then getting to know the family, right? Shoot, they're just kitty corner from you. And there's a 93% chance that old Papa Zabel is going to be jumping on the trampoline with the old kiddos at some point in time, or at least throwing a ball here in the
Mhm.
next 24 to 48 hours. But like I said, man, I really appreciate it. It's great having the conversation. I hope we can just continue to have these, right? And whether it's on the farming conversation or whatever the next stage unfolds for you, I'm bought in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I enjoy talking to you, enjoy building our relationship that we started a long, long time ago. I want to say, what was it, probably 7, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Uh, and just the unbelievable ride that we've been on. And now I can consider you a neighbor.
Yeah.
I You were a friend and a mentor, now you're a neighbor. So the titles just keep on growing.
I love it.
Um, but hopefully see you soon.
No, absolutely, buddy. Like I said, best of luck getting after it. We'll be in touch as we always are. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Take care.
See ya.